And now it's time for Church Chat.
Welcome, friends. It's a joy to welcome you to another edition of Church Chat. I'm joined today by Shane Watson, and we're going to talk to you about a very exciting project that is going to change and beautify the landscape of St. John's Port Hope, hopefully coming as soon as spring 2021. We're going to talk to you today about our Spiritual Park project. Now, Shane, this is something that I'm really excited about, and a number of people are excited about and taking an active hand in planning. This Spiritual Park project is something that emerged, I think, primarily out of our conversations about how we could do responsible, socially distanced ministry during this time of COVID-19. And it's really just kind of snowballed from there. So what exactly do we mean when we say a spiritual park?
Exactly. It started out as some brainstorming we had about what could we do in this strange time. I think it was summer was coming upon us when we started to think about, well, what can we do a little bit different? And it's as you said, snowballed from there. So what do we mean by a spiritual park? Well, it's really a collection of a variety of things. Some people are calling it a spiritual garden because there's a garden aspect that we want to have to it. So there's the idea to grow food, which could go to good use in our community. And the activity of growing the food is something that could help draw some people together in a safe way when we need to do so. And not just people within our congregation, but also some partners that we're working on outside of St. John's. So we've introduced this idea to a group called Punk Rock Producers, and also Port Hope for the Future. And some people may be familiar with one or both of those groups, but they're also really excited about this idea. And so it's about a garden. It's about some socially distanced seating where people could gather. It's about a place for our kids to have Sunday school and conduct other activities at the church. It's about an opportunity to gather as a community outdoors. It's sort of defiantly saying that despite everything that's going on in the world, we're still a community and we're going to prove it, even if the doors to the buildings are not always open.
Amen, brother. Now, just so that people can picture what we're talking about in their minds, what's the physical space that you're talking about? It's outdoors and it's on the church grounds, but can you tell us a little bit more about where it's going to be situated and a few of the features that it's going to have?
Yes. We've had a couple of meetings to kind of brainstorm ideas and to scout the property and try and pick locations that would be good for the purposes that we have planned. And we've been very thankful in that regard for the expertise of Craig Smith at Punk Rock Producers. He's got a lot of gardening experience and community garden experience. And so we looked at the space between the parish hall and the church with him, and he really thought that was ideal space for a garden because the two buildings offer some protection, would retain some heat. So we're going to start with some raised planter beds against the wall of the church, probably in that space between the parish hall and the church building. There's a tree in that area also. We're going to prune that a bit and provide some shaded seating for people, maybe 5 or 6 socially distanced seating spaces if people want to gather. And a little towards the back, we're going to open that space up a little bit, and that's going to be the kids area. So there's ideas for an outdoor blackboard, some stones that the kids can use for seats, something called a mud kitchen, which sounds like a tremendous amount of fun and messiness. And there's tons of other ideas about what we could add to this over time. The idea is that we're going to start with something that we can manage and kind of build on it. And I expect that as more and more people get involved with the project, there'll be more and more ideas about what we can do with it. And more and more people will become engaged. And for example, we need a little bit of a shed for the garden. So we have support from the construction class at the Port Hope High School to help us with building a shed and things like that. So I'd really invite people, if you're interested or excited by the idea or the possibilities, to put your hand up and join with the advisory board. Throw your ideas in the ring, and let us know that we should be reaching out to you and finding out how to get you involved.
It's been a really exciting topic for conversation at our advisory board meetings. And I certainly do thank everybody that's had input and insight into the project during those conversations. Our advisory board has done just remarkable work in a number of areas, and this is one of them. Now, I can hear in the back of my mind, I can hear people saying, well, that's all well and good. Who's going to pay for it? And of course, during this time, when we're particularly concerned about matters of stewardship, unable to meet as we normally would, we're going to have to do a little bit of creative fundraising. But Shane, I know that that's been part of the planning that's been going on as well. So I wonder if you might tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. There is something that the diocese offers called a REACH grant. And we have prepared an application for a REACH grant. And the idea of a REACH grant is it's relatively simple to obtain, good for things like what we're talking about here. And so we're very optimistic that that first our proposal will receive the approval of our area bishop, Bishop Shaw. And with her endorsement, we'll be able to go to the next level of approval, where we basically do a kind of a Dragon's Den style pitch to the committee that approves the REACH grants, and we can get up to $5,000. So we've had to put together a cost estimate and things like that. So we have an idea of the things that we'll need to purchase, things that we are hopeful we can get donated, and we've had a lot of interest expressed by some of the people we've engaging with. So we know that we're going to be able to get some labor for free, and we've gotten lots of good advice and things like that so far. So some of that money is going to come from the REACH grant, hopefully.
Yes, and certainly that's one of the things that we're very grateful for, being part of a diocesan church, is having the support of the diocese when we have new projects that are going to help us to engage and broaden out our ministry and celebrate our Christian presence in a way that's visible to anybody walking by on the street. One of the other things we talked about, in addition to the garden, the gathering space, and the children's space, is incorporating a kind of spiritual element into this. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that? We're not set, I think, on one idea, but perhaps envisioning some kind of element that would speak to our Christian faith and help us to share the gospel.
Yeah, I think that an element of the garden or the park is certainly going to be creating a space where people can come and pray if they wish, and contemplate and gather in small groups to do that. But also the idea of kind of a more physical element that would support a spiritual experience at the park is something that we're thinking about. So we don't have anything really set yet. The idea of an outdoor Stations of the Cross is an idea. Many people will be familiar with the labyrinth at St. Mark's. We may not have a labyrinth, but some other sort of physical spiritual anchor, if you will, is something that we're looking for. So, we're open to ideas, and it'll be very interesting to see how this park flourishes over the coming months and years. This is something that was born out of the COVID situation, but the hope and expectation is that it's going to live well beyond that.
Yes, indeed. Thanks be to God. And, you've heard me revisit this if you've been listening to my sermons and my talks during this COVID time, but looking for signs of redemption in the midst of all of this is a sure sign of God's presence. And I truly feel that this is one of them here at St. John's. The other thing that we're hoping is that the produce from this garden will be a bounty that we can share with our neighbors who are in need, particularly through our partnership with Fair Share Food Bank and the Greenwood Coalition. I encourage all of our members this year, those of us who have worshiped at St. John's for some time will know that it's our typical practice to have a Harvest Thanksgiving celebration a week before National Thanksgiving so that we can gather fresh food donations to share with Fair Share. We're unable to do that this year because they're unable to accept food donations, but they are eager to accept donations of funds. So check that out as well, Fair Share Food Bank. You can find that website. You can go there and make a donation, and that's going to be our support to them for this year. Well, Shane, thank you so much for joining Church Chat today to talk about the spiritual park. And what can I say? Watch this space, folks, and watch the physical space transform coming in the spring of 2021. Thank you very much again for joining us, and all the very best. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Happy Thanksgiving.